Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locally Owned. And today I'm joined by Joe Dan Reed. He's an entrepreneur who has taken on one of the most overlooked businesses in America and turned it into a serious growth engine. Joe Dan is the co-author of Splash 'em Out Laundry, a rapidly growing network of laundromats across Kentucky, and he's built one of the largest laundromat-focused YouTube channels in the world with over 260,000 subscribers. From modernizing struggling laundromats to building large scale pickup and delivery laundry operations, Joe Dan has become one of the most influential voices in the laundromat industry. Today, we're going to talk about how he spots opportunity, scales service businesses, and why sometimes the best businesses are hiding in plain sight. Joe Dan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Dave. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I'm real excited to have you. So tell me a little bit about yourself growing up, a little bit of background, and then how you got started as an entrepreneur.
Well, I was the middle of five. 7 years divides us all. So imagine our household. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And my father worked in education. So he worked in vocational school. But any kind of money we needed, we had to really go out and work for it. I remember in junior high, I started selling candy. I would sell candy to friends and to whoever would buy it. And so I'd go in there with my little brown bag full of candy, and I'd sell blow pops, now and laters, Charlie Chan, lemon heads, you name it. Anyway, they warned me I couldn't do it anymore. I said okay, and I did it anyway. So they gave me a 3-day suspension. And when I got back to school, they had their own little candy store at the school.
Oh,
So so I was out of
man,
business. I
they
was
made you
completely out of
sign a non compete clause
Yeah,
at
I
10
know,
years
like,
old.
well, I asked them for a cut for my idea, and they didn't like that too much. But because
At
if it
least
wasn't
free
for me
candy.
yes, if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't have done it. Well, anyway, nonetheless, I always had paper routes. I was 10 years old, and I had a paper route all through high school. I got my degree in broadcasting journalism at Eastern Kentucky University, and I went there to go play football, and I promptly flunked out. And my father, I'll never forget, he gave me something called a moment of clarity that I'll never forget. I walked in the house, and my dad goes, "Hey, come here, son. I got to talk to you." I said, "What's that?" He handed me my payment book to my truck. He said, "Well, you can't pass school, so I'm not going to pay for your truck." And that was a moment of clarity. That just set me off. I was like, "Okay." He said, "And by the way, I signed you up for HVAC at a vocational school." I said, "But I don't want to do that." He said, you don't have a choice." I was like, "Okay," because he wanted me to get some sort of a trade, whatever it was. So I went on and I did that, and I had aspirations of opening up my own HVAC company, but that never went to fruition because I decided I wanted to go back to school and go into broadcasting journalism, in which I worked for a local TV station. I worked for Kenny Rice, and I got to cover Kentucky basketball, Kentucky football, and just Kentucky sports, something I have a passion about. So it was fun. But working in that business, I saw real quick I wasn't going to make a lot of money. And
Yeah.
unless you go to network, you're not going to make a lot of money. And I didn't, but I'm able to do that now because I have a good time just videoing, doing my YouTube channel. So I still follow my passion as far as that's concerned. But after that, I met my wife, and she was a registered nurse, or still is. And we were at the parking lot of Office Depot. And this was, gosh, 25 years ago. And she looked at me, and I looked at her. I said, no, she looked at me and she said, "Man, these hospitals are dirty." I said, "Well, let's start a cleaning business." And she said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, let's start a cleaning business." So I took about $1,500, and I went into Office Depot and I printed off flyers. We went door to door, and put flyers on everybody's door we possibly could. And next thing you know, our phone started ringing, and we got an office, a little 200 square foot office, and we started doing business out of there. And we got vacuums, mop buckets, you name it. And so it was just me and my wife, Kelly, doing it all. And next thing you know, we got overwhelmed. And I'm not a cleaner. I don't want to clean. So she would go in the house and clean, and I would vacuum and do all the other stuff, the stuff that she would find cumbersome that I could do. Like I would mop and I would sweep and vacuum, and then she would do everything else. Next thing you know, we're cleaning up to 400 to 500 houses a month, and it was like,
Wow.
and we had a large crew of people working for us. And then one day, I told her, I said, I want to get into carpet cleaning. I said, she goes, well, you don't know what you're doing. I said, well, I didn't know how to strip and wax floors either. And so I was stripping and waxing floors, and I'll never forget stripping and waxing a floor. First time I did it, it was at UPS. They hired me, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just had this swing machine that I bought on Craigslist for $300, and I remember I did it, and it just took me. And I'm sure you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And now I could just do it with one hand. It's easy to do, and it was enjoyable. I like doing it, but it was the rewarding part was seeing that nasty floor, and you clean it up and make it shiny again, and put 3 or 4 coats of wax on there and walk away. And then I went and started doing carpet cleaning, and I was a one-man band on the carpet cleaning. I had a van, and I was doing about 10 carpets a day by myself. And then next thing you know, restaurants were calling, and then I would work there, do that all night long. And then I bought another van and another carpet cleaning van, and then I had a crew doing it. Not soon after, but to get you started on the laundromat side of things, when we were cleaning houses, a lot of our customers wanted us to leave the maids behind to do laundry. And we said, no, we can't do that. So we went to H Gregg because we knew nothing about the laundry industry. We went to H Gregg and bought 4 washers and 4 dryers, put them in the basement of our office, and we started doing pickup and delivery laundry. And this was 20 years ago. And next thing you know, we didn't have route software. So it was like the wild, wild west, and we didn't know where we were going. So that didn't work out very well. And then Kelly saw where a laundromat used to be, and it was completely closed down. And I called the landlord, and we signed a lease, and I found a distributor and put laundry in there. Next thing you know, I'm like, I like this business. And then we started doing laundromats. And now, I mean, along the way, we've had 14 laundromats. We're down to 9 laundromats. That's the sweet spot. And then we started overwhelming Cliff Notes version. We started overwhelming all the laundromats with pickup and delivery because we would overwhelm our self-serve customers, and that wasn't a good look because the self-service customers would come in and all the washers were being used by our staff.
Right.
So we found this 20,000 square foot warehouse, which that's where I am right now. This is what we put offices in here, and we have a huge warehouse out here to where we do process, pickup, and delivery laundry only. So we do about 20,000 pounds a week. There's a lot of room to grow. But we have folders, a big ironer. We have all the equipment it takes to do a laundry service. And we do a lot of specialty items. Like we do about 100 horse blankets or more a week. We're in horse country, so we clean them, waterproof them, repair them, whatever needs to be done, and send them back out. We also do a lot of linens, and we can iron those linens. So we do small boutique hotels. I don't want to compete with people like Cintas or Advantage Linen. I just want their scraps because I don't want to get a big tunnel washer and chase pennies. We're going to stay true to our price where we are, a per pound price. And so it seems to work out very well.
You know, something that really stands out as I'm listening to Joe Dan's story is that it doesn't sound like he had all of this planned out. From selling candy in school to paper routes to cleaning houses to carpet cleaning and now the laundromats and then the delivery service. Every step seems to come simply from noticing a need and then building a business around it. And that is the real entrepreneurial instinct. People often ask me, do you think the ability to spot opportunity is something you can learn, or are some people just wired that way? And honestly, I'm not sure. But whatever it is, it's worthless without the courage to act on it. And that's what really stands out about Joe Dan. He doesn't just see opportunities, he moves on them. Most people are waiting for a sure thing. But Joe Dan, he's not waiting for permission to act on his ideas. And that's what makes him an outstanding entrepreneur and very successful. Yeah, yeah. Now, listening to everything you just told me, you made it sound like it was easy breezy getting to
Uh,
where you are. I mean, we did this and it worked so well. We did that and that worked so well. We did this.
I'll tell you what
So,
didn't work well. I've opened up a gym that I don't have that any longer. I've opened up an aqua massage. I don't have that any longer. I had a thrift store. I have that no longer. So I
yeah.
need
So,
to stay in my wheelhouse.
yeah, yeah. So, what did you do to go from you and your wife cleaning? You guys realized, hey, we can go out and clean houses and make money doing this.
Yes.
Obviously, you and your wife can't do 400 to 500 houses a month. So, tell me how that growth happened. Where how did you see potential, like where, and then how did you go from what you were doing to knowing how to hire people, because it's a lot to know how to hire people, to train them, to supervise them. You've gone from being a couple that said, hey, here's an opportunity, we know how to do this, we can figure this out. So tell me kind of what those steps were that you took, where you just saw, okay, this is how we're going to do this and this is how we're going to stay in control of it.
So the key for us was it. Now I didn't just get to 500 houses overnight.
Right, right,
It
yeah.
took a while. So we started building our team, and it was a slow growth. I used to just hire anybody because I just needed a body, and then I'd hire a bunch of people and run their background and couldn't hire maybe a tenth of them. So
Yeah.
it was difficult. Um, it was a long process to try to figure out. I mean, and now a lot of times it goes word of mouth. People say, "Oh, yeah, are you hiring?" And then that happens.
Well,
Hiring is
let
it's
me
a
pause
difficult
on
thing.
this.
Yes.
Can I ask you one question on this?
Yes.
So I've noticed that some people like yourself, where I hired anybody because we needed people. And then there's people that are the opposite. They just stay mom and pop. You had no fear of hiring people. They're controlled by their fear of, well, they're not going to do it the way I want it done. And what if they steal something from somebody's home? But obviously you probably had those concerns. So
Of course.
how did you overcome them, or what did you put in place, to say, okay, this is how we're going to get this done?
SOPs are very important, standard operating procedures. And I'll tell you what, being a leader, don't hire anybody to do something that you won't do yourself. And sometimes at the beginning, and even now, sometimes I'll get the itch to go out there and with the crew and clean, and I work circles around them. They're like, "Dang, I didn't know you worked so hard." It's good for them to see that the owner is out here taking personal accountability of everything that's going on. I
Mm.
have found that I don't raise my voice to anyone. I might go home and yell, but about it. But
Kick the dog.
yeah, I'm very fair. I like to think that we're very fair. I also I'll buy lunch quite a bit. I'll give them gift cards. I'll do giveaways. Like sometimes we'll have a Google review. Like get me 5 Google reviews today. The first one get me 5-star reviews. I'll give you a $25 gift card or something like that. But as far as you go back to having the fear of hiring someone because they won't do it like you. Yeah, my wife had more of that fear than I do. And
Yeah.
I think that's a mindset. And if you have the mindset that no one can do it as good as you, they're not going to do it as good as you. No one will, because you have been doing this. You have a certain set of expectations that you rely on and that customer wants. So we have something called a quality assurance program. Example, if we clean a building, we always have a supervisor walk through and then the manager checks it off. And if something needs to be relooked at, then they go back out and hey, there's some dirt at a corner of floor 2 in the office 301. Would you go up there and get that real quick? And while you're in there, check the window sill because I saw some dust in there as well. And in having this program and doing it the way we do, I think it works out very well. Now, no one will ever clean the way that we really want it cleaned, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when I walk in the laundromat, if I see something on the floor, it just grates on me. I'm like, the attendant should have picked that up. But I understand they're back there, they're busy, but it's not their business. They don't look at it like that. And kind of
Right.
like when you
Yeah.
walk into Walmart or anywhere, you see the shelves are all in disarray. My store would never be like that. Yeah, well, it will be if you're not willing to let go, you will never scale ever.
Yeah. Listening to Joe Dan talk about hiring and scaling, it reminds me of something I've seen over and over again with business owners. Everybody says they want their business to grow, but very few realize that they themselves are often the biggest reason it doesn't. The fear that no one will do it the way they want it done becomes the real ceiling on their growth. That's why SOPs, standard operating procedures, are so important. But here's where a lot of owners get it wrong. They create SOPs and then use them to micromanage their team through a manual. And at that point, they still haven't let go of control. SOPs are there to help the owner control every step. They're there to make the business teachable and repeatable so that the owner can step out of the day to day. And when I owned my carpet cleaning company, I really had to learn this the hard way. The SOPs gave my team a standard to follow and a system anyone could learn. But what I ultimately cared about, what ultimately mattered, was the results. Were clients thrilled with our work? Did they call us back? Did they refer us to their friends and neighbors? Those are the results I was looking for. And as long as the results were there, I became a lot less concerned with exactly how every step was executed. Because growth doesn't happen when the owner controls every move. Growth happens when the system produces the results without the owner standing there.
The end of the game is to create generational wealth if you can, and to have a lasting legacy of your business that can go on after you, or you set it up to sell. And that's the problem with a lot of these mom and pops who are in business. They don't set themselves up to sell. They don't set themselves up to for the future of what's going to happen. So if they count on you and you get sick, who's going to work it, right? If
Right.
something catastrophic happened, you can't show up for work, you don't have a team behind you. And I thought of all these things. And it took a while to get there, but we're here now for sure.
Yeah, I think that's one of the tough things for everybody. Obviously, creating SOPs in and of itself is a monumental task. I had to start early in the morning. I just had to work some extra time.
And it's an evolving thing. That's something that evolves over
Right,
time.
right.
My
Yeah,
first SOP was like this, and now it's like this, and you have many different binders that people can go through and understand and know the business from front to back.
yeah. Well, some people they're fine with being a mom and pop and just having this lifestyle kind of business. But I had it sounded like you mentioned something that hit me too. What if I get sick? Like, what if I injure myself? And so I thought I need to have a business that can keep moving without me, and so that inspired me to figure out, okay, well, what do people do to create something that runs without them? And so that's when I got started writing SOPs, and oh my, it felt like I was never going to get it done. It just felt like
No, I
and
still write.
and
I
and
mean,
then and then people
you're
don't
right.
do they don't ever read them or do them anyway.
Yeah, but at least they're down. At least they're on paper, or in some type of a document that you can always go back and refer. I don't want a business to where I'm an employee of my own business. I don't want the business to work me. I want to work the business. That's what I see a lot happening in the laundromat industry. So I don't understand how the mom and pops they close early. It's because they have no one to work it. I have our store set up to where I don't even have to have an employee. That's how far I've gone with this. I have a garage door for behind the counter. It closes. I have lockers where I have companies or people who come in if they want to drop their clothes, they can put them in the laundry lockers. We get a notification that there's clothes in there, and I'll put them on the route to pick it up and bring it back and put it into the locker. I have it to where our lights come on automatically. Everything is everything is automated, so I don't have to be there. But we do attend all the stores just because I like someone constantly there cleaning.
Right.
And
Yeah.
if the mom and pop would at least do something like that and say, "Hey, I could step back, walk away, huh? This still runs without me." And once somebody sees something running without them, they're going, maybe it's time I make some changes in my own personal life. And that way you can grow and you can scale. And I always think the more you have, as far as laundromats, for example, I'm using laundromats as an example. One laundromat is harder to run than nine, in my opinion,
Mm,
because I have a management team, then I have a set of supervisors, and then I have the attendants. And and then I have this software where people are all talking back and forth to each other, and we know what's going on at each store. So it works
okay.
out great. My son actually developed the software. And man, he put this big spreadsheet down with all nine stores to where everybody can communicate within. If something breaks, it sends me an alert, and I can go read the notes about it. It's amazing. So bringing the youth involved, their technological acumen really helps.
Yeah.
And so I'm an open, free thinker, and I'm always welcome anybody to give me a suggestion on how I can run the business better. And I never take offense to that. And I think that's why we are at the cutting edge of everything.
But even the way you're thinking is at the cutting edge, to be thinking along the lines of it's easier to run a system that manages 9 laundromats than it is to run a laundromat. Is,
That's right.
so you have to have some thoughts that I think would be really helpful for other people because this doesn't happen without money behind it. And you've got to risk and you've obviously risked losing some money. If you opened a gym and that failed and you've started some other businesses that didn't work, you obviously have a way of thinking about money that I'm sure you had some calculated risk in there where it was like, okay, I can try this, and if it doesn't work, this is all I'll lose or whatever. But it takes some money. So give me some of your foundational ideas that where you say, okay, this is how I think about how to use money in business.
I'm a true believer in risking everything. I have risked everything because I always believe that if I fail, that there's going to be another opportunity around the corner that I will succeed. I believe in myself so much that I think I can make that gym work right now. I will take the risk on property. I will take the risk on laundromats. I will take the risk in janitorial, any type of service industry. I kind of look at the industry and what it is and determine what type of risk I would be willing to take. At the same time, I'm not 25 anymore, so I'm not going to take the risk I would then, but I will not take that type of risk today because I don't have to. When you make that decision to take that risk, you are making that decision to spend a lot of time. So, what is your time worth? And you need to look at that. That's a big thing. You are going to be thinking about it 24/7. People don't understand. When I go out, well, why are you answering your phone at 10 p.m.? Well, because I'm running a business. And if my phone rings, it's something very important. And so I'm going to answer it.
Hmm?
But as far as the financial risk, I would risk 30% of what I have for sure for something I believe in. 30%.
Okay.
Um,
I know from watching some of your videos and talking to you a little bit, you'll look at a place and then you'll decide, okay, I think we can buy this laundromat and turn this thing around and make it a lot better, or we can buy this space and turn it into a great laundromat. Tell me about your evaluation process where you're looking at a place. What are the 5 key things or 3 key things, or, what are you looking for?
Parking, infrastructure, and the square footage of the building. and where it's located. Not so much where it's located anymore because I believe our brand works so well around this area that people will travel to go to a Splash Amount store, because they know that, oh, if I go to a Splash Amount store, everything's working, everything's clean, and I have plenty of parking. And I like being in shopping centers because it drives the business.
Ah,
I used to look at the demographics and wanting a lot of apartment buildings. I don't as much anymore because I think people are time poor, and what happens is they have an abundance of laundry and they just bring it in, because their little washer at home just doesn't do 10 loads at once, and you're spending all day to do 10 loads when you can come in and do 10 loads in less than an hour at a laundromat.
yeah. So if I'm just getting started and wanting to get started in buying some laundromats, what do you see first time people, the mistakes they're making?
Well, they overpay for the laundromat, way overpay. The only thing a laundromat is worth to me is the infrastructure. I always felt like, who would sell a cash striving business if it's successful? No one. Why would you sell a laundromat if it's successful and you don't have to do anything but collect the quarters? That's back in the day. Now everything's card.
Yeah.
So if if they're a quarter laundromat, it's going to be very difficult to find out what the numbers are. It's up to you to do your homework. You need to go in there on Sunday. You need to see how busy they are. You need to see how long they're open, and what time's their first customer there. I would go and count customers. It's a lot of work just to evaluate. I would drive around. I would go in there. I would speak to customers. Say, hey, what do you think about this place?
Okay, so something that really stood out to me about Joe Dan's thinking and how differently he approaches a problem that almost every small business owner faces is when he was talking about the mom and pop situation where they eventually hit the same wall that he did. They're either working all the time or they have to hire someone they may or may not trust to run the place. And it seems like a lot of them pick this strange third option where they just decide, we'll just close early, we'll close on the weekends, which, as you just said, they're often their most profitable hours. Instead of solving the problem, they just forfeit the revenue. But what Joe Dan did was step back and design a system that removes that problem altogether. He created automation, lockers, systems, notifications. The store can operate even when he's not standing there. And that's the difference between a guy who's running a laundromat and a guy who's designing a business. And I love his boots on the ground approach where he's not this distant executive sitting behind reports and spreadsheets. He knows his role. And his role is to build that business and to create systems to make that business run and run without him, but run really well. But in his role, he still goes out, walks locations, talks to customers, sees what's actually working, sees how the parking looks. He has the mindset of an owner. And I love this, like he doesn't have any pretension about him being an owner and he has to have this image. He understands that what he is building systems that work, and then he stays close enough to that business to make sure that they actually do.
When I go in to our laundromats, I have my card in hand and I see customers. I always start their washers or their dryers.
Oh, nice,
Um,
nice.
and they appreciate that. And that's what I do for our customers. And they appreciate our store because it's very clean
Yeah,
and very efficient. And we have big washers and big dryers. They can get in and out.
yeah. So as you've created this brand that people recognize, hey, this is what I can expect when I go there. It's nice and clean, everything works. Sometimes the owner buys around. So how did you get to where you grew this business but maintain the quality of what people can expect? That's probably one of the things that scares most people about growing is that they're going to lose the quality of their brand.
Well, you can't be tight. You have to hire a good manager,
Mm.
a really good manager, and pay them well. You've train them properly. They know what you expect, and you turn them loose and see what they're made of. And more times than not, people will surprise you. It's funny. I've hired some people I thought I hit a home run with on hiring, and they turned out to be terrible. And the ones I thought were going that wouldn't last 3 days have been with me for 10 years. But as far as I think a lot of this is because we've got a lot of processes and procedures in place, and there's someone that everyone can answer to for support within our system, and that's the main thing. That there is a lot of support with everyone who works for us, and I think you have to pay your manager well and really put them through a strenuous interview process to make sure you got the right person to give the keys to your business because
Right.
that's what you're doing.
Yeah. So I had a few key questions, and the interview started when I just was starting a conversation with this person where they thought we were just chatting before the interview, but that was really the interview for me. And so
That's the interview. Yes.
what are you looking for when you're trying to say, okay, I'm going to give this person the keys to my business? What are those, this has to be there, and what are the deal breakers?
Attention to detail. The deal breaker is that piece of paper that wadded up on the floor that they stepped over and didn't bother to pick it up. Interview's over right there.
Yeah.
The way they come in, I'll give you an example. If I'm hiring you and you come in for an interview, don't bring your boyfriend or girlfriend to come sit in on the process.
Right.
What is that?
Yeah.
It's obvious you don't want a job, and it's obviously going to be a problem for me because you can't get away from your boyfriend or girlfriend. Um,
Right. Right.
and it's yeah, and a lot of times the first question they ask, "How much do I get paid?" I'm like, ah, let's just move on. You didn't even bother to look up our business.
Right.
I'll tell you, it's gotten harder to find good quality um, employees now. It really has because everybody seems to think they should make $60,000 a year. It's not like that,
And not even have to show up for work.
and not show up for work.
So everything's going along well, and you decide, you know what? I think I could start a YouTube channel and get hundreds of thousands of subscribers.
I didn't think that.
I didn't think you thought that, but that's part of your journey. Tell me a little bit of where that began and what it is now.
Well, I love making videos. I like playing with the camera. I even got one of these. I even got a microphone made with a.
Oh,
I put
nice.
my wireless mic right there and put this on, and I can walk around and interview people. I'm interested in. I was interested in documenting what we do on video, and then I said, well, let me make a YouTube channel because I'll start documenting what I do. At first, I was fixing stuff on the washers. I would walk in and do some things. And then next thing you know, I started talking about our business. I enjoyed that a lot more. And then I would go to different laundromats and interview people. I just enjoy doing it. And next thing you know, it just kind of exploded a little bit. And now I'm up to 330,000 subscribers as of this morning.
That's amazing.
And
That is amazing.
I know. Yeah,
Well, okay.
yeah,
It
and I have a face for video. I mean, I have a face for radio. And here I am.
Well, you've done pretty well on video, that's for sure. So, a lot of people will chase startups and or look for things that are sexy, and you have what's called a boring business, technically, and that's sort of the label that people put on these. I did too, carpet cleaning, but in your mind, why do you feel like boring businesses make the best opportunities instead of chasing startups and tech, companies and that kind of thing, or tech products, I should say.
Honestly speaking, I believe it's because you're seeing real people behind the camera, showing exactly, and it's so authentic. It's not where not many people can just go do tech. I can't do tech. I have a Tesla, and I'm still confused. Okay, And I love that car because I just push a button, it drives for me. But there's so many tech. I don't have the patience for tech. When people talk about Google and Google Ads and AdSense and all that stuff, you lose me. And I believe that holds true with a lot of people. And I believe that when I show videos, I think it gives people hope that they could do what I do, because I think a lot of it, maybe I do make it look a little easier than it is at times, but it's real and it's authentic. It's like carpet cleaning, or janitorial or anything. These boring businesses can be pretty fun
Yeah.
if you do them well. I mean, they can be fun. I've made laundry look fun.
Going in and
Although I
and
don't do,
paying for people's, you walk in as the owner and swipe the card so that they get a free load.
yeah,
Yeah, of course that's fun. You just made their
that's
day.
fun for me. That's fun for
Yeah.
me. Yeah, and within that, I mean, during Christmas, we'll have Santa Claus in there. We'll have the Easter Bunny in there. We'll have we also we do a coat drive, backpack drive. You can give away socks, whatever it is. You can do so much within your business that can help your community in return, and it's very rewarding, and it makes laundry look fun. Laundry sucks. I'm going to tell you right now. I haven't. The beautiful thing is I haven't done laundry in 20 years. I don't think I even know how to. I know how to fix a washer, but I don't know how to run a washer because I never have.
That's too funny.
That's Yeah, it's true. Uh, I put my clothes out on the front porch. They come pick it up and deliver it back to me in my own company. One day I looked out. I was like, am I this lazy? Are we this lazy? And Kelly looked at me and said, "No, we just we own it. And another thing, we need to see how they're processing our clothes without us being there. And when we get it back and we see, hey, it looks really nice. Our staff did a really good job. So that's mystery shopping on our own company."
Yeah. um, so if somebody comes to you, or even your younger self, what would you tell your younger self to say, hey, this is what you need to do?
Be patient. First and foremost, be patient. The money's going to come. uh, and just continue to stay true to who you are. I don't think there's much I would change, really. I mean, it's like, I mean, you've heard that Kenny Chesney song, "Don't Blink." It seems like yesterday we started this business.
Mm.
And I would tell my younger self, stay in your wheelhouse. Laundry, janitorial, service businesses. Don't try to go and open up a gym. Don't try to go and open up a car lot. Don't try to open up another car wash. You see, I'm naming more stuff I've done along the way.
um, I I feel
Maybe.
like I didn't ask you enough about your YouTube channel, so I want to back up a little bit, because I have a YouTube channel, and it's extremely difficult to consistently produce content, and if you're in a boring business, to produce content that people want to watch. You didn't stumble into 260 or 300 some odd thousand subscribers. Nobody stumbles into that. There's got to be some sort of intentionality about it. And um, what do you feel
Well,
like is the things that work for you?
consistency. I put on something every day,
Okay.
and I always have a long form video for Sunday. Um, and I think a lot of times people like that I go out and I'll interview some people within the business, um, and then sometimes I'll go through our laundromats and show you some of the mistakes I've made and what I wish I had done and what I would do today. People like to see the complete operation and how it's run. I would say most of the people who are following me aren't following me for just laundromats. I think they're following me for they're interested in business. They might want to get in some sort of business, even though this might be a pretty boring business. But I give a lot of advice that you can put toward any business. I don't know why that channel's so successful. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because my wife's on there a lot. They like seeing her more than me.
Yeah.
I'm the ugly bald-headed dude, but,
Well, you've done really well with it. I mean, I know from my own experience, it's it's hard to get
it
subscribers,
takes
and
time. It takes time, and like I've been watching some of your stuff, and you've done some outstanding interviews, and some of your guests, they're really fun to listen to and very inspiring, and I think that's what it takes. And it's going to just take one video that somebody listens to and says, "Hey," uh, they subscribe and they tell all their friends about it, and I think that's what's happened here with
yeah,
us for the most part. And I'm on 4 different platforms. It's funny, I don't do near as well on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. Like I've got a million views on several videos on TikTok, but I only have 32,000 subscribers.
oh wow,
Then I
wow.
see people, I see people with like 500 views on TikTok and they have a million subscribers. I can create a lot of content because I have 9 stores to go to.
One of the things I hear in Joe Dan's story over and over again is just how simple he keeps things. Everything from his business to his brand to the content he produces, he keeps it simple. It's not complicated. From swiping a card and buying a load for a customer to putting on a Santa suit in the laundromat to walking around with a camera and just documenting what he's doing. He keeps it all very simple, very authentic, very much Joe Dan. And I think that may actually be one of the keys to his success. Instead of trying to become something he's not, Joe Dan seems to have figured out how to build a business and a brand that fits who he already is. And when a business fits the owner like that, I got to think it's just a lot easier to run and a lot more fun for the people who work for him.
Some people say, "Oh, you need to think outside the box." No, I think inside the box. I think of I want to fill that box completely full before I go outside of it.
Hmm.
Kind of like, yeah, we clean horse blankets. Oh, we can waterproof horse blankets. We can fix horse blankets. There's 3 steps in one. Most people say, yeah, we clean horse
Right.
blankets. Well, what about other services you can offer them on top of their horse blanket? Oh, and then we deliver it back to you. Pick it up and deliver it back to you. That's huge. And that was the same thing when that guy called me about that floor, the concrete. They were amazed. And you know what? You know what's funny? We now clean that building because we did
Oh,
such a
wow.
good job.
Yeah.
They hired us to clean the building. Yeah. They're like, well, we want come with cleaning in there to do it. I was like, okay.
Yeah. That's your marketing strategy.
But you have to be
Yeah.
opportunistic in
Yeah.
business, right, Dave? I mean, you really do. If you just have tunnel vision and you can't see the whole picture, then you can't be very
Right.
successful. And you have to be open minded. You have to be able to take constructive criticism and not take anything personal. I take nothing personal. I mean,
Yeah.
if a client tells me I didn't do a good job and I know it looks good, I'll say, okay, yeah, well, let me do that over. Or what can I do to earn your business? What needs to be done to make sure this is right without being offended and all this. And I'll tell you another thing. I know I'm ranting here. I'm
No, it's
rambling.
good stuff.
If you ever walked into a business or a restaurant and somebody says we're short staffed,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's happened.
well, if someone says that in my business, they're going to get written up because that tells me when someone tells me they're short staffed, oh, you're not going to give me the proper service.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think it's huge. If you sit here and say you're short staffed, that's just it automatically goes into the customer's head. What kind of services am I going to
Right.
get here
Right.
now? And now they're looking for something
Yeah.
bad, and with intention, I will never ever say I'm short staffed, even if I am,
Yeah.
and I have been.
Yeah. Well, everybody
And
has.
somebody called me
Yeah.
and say,
So, no,
"Yeah, yeah, absolutely."
that's smart, because you're realizing how a customer interprets that. And really, you learn that from going somewhere else and watching your own reaction. And I think that's a lot of things that I did early on when I built my business to say, hey, this is not a good thing to say, or not a good thing to do, or because anytime you're creating doubt in a customer's mind, or leaving room for doubt, they're going to fill it, and you don't know what they're going to fill it with.
That's that you hit the nail on the head. You left room for doubt, and now they might be looking for something
Yeah.
to get over on you immediately.
So you've obviously been incredibly successful, run lots of different types of businesses. Um, what's some of the lessons that you've learned that have stuck with you and you still stand by them? That hey, this is I'll never not do this, in business.
Well, never argue with the customer, even if you think you're right. Um, Fire a customer if it's not working out for you, and you know that you will never ever meet their expectations, because some people just want more than you can give. Don't think that you need that customer, because that customer's holding you back. I mean, you're putting all your eggs in one basket here. I had a large customer, and I was working day and night, and they would call like I should be on call 24/7. I learned this early on. Finally, one day I looked at Kelly, I said, "I wanna fire them." And she goes, "You know what? I do too." And so we were like, "Okay, well, let's get rid of them." So we did, and our business grew because that one customer could just stress you out
Hmm.
so much, and it's not worth it. I don't know of anybody who could
Yeah.
satisfy them,
Yeah. No.
you know? And so don't be afraid to
Hmm.
fire a customer. Um Take personal accountability at all times, short of theft, of course. If I didn't steal something, I'm going to, but I always take personal accountability. If I have a staff member that screwed something up, broke a table or whatever, I'll say, I will pick up the phone and call them before they can call me if I know about it. So never wait for the phone to ring if you know
Hmm.
something that happened. Always try to stay on the forefront, because they're human just like we are, and they feel the same way you do about their product. So we take special care of what's in front of us. But if we break something and we don't tell them, it makes you look like
Hmm.
a liar. And never, never, and I never lie to a customer. I always try to stay true to who we are. Another thing, I will not adjust my pricing
Hmm.
for anyone. No one. I've done that before because it's been a big customer or a big account that I could get. Well, you're $200 off. I'm sorry, I
Right.
can't help you. Um, Stay true to who you
Mm.
are.
I love that. I love
Yeah,
that. Yep. That I did the same thing, and I came
yeah,
down on my price in the
early
very
on.
beginning. I thought, well, I'm already here. Now I'm going to lose the job. So I guess I'll go ahead and lower it. And I always felt like I cheated everybody else who didn't ask me to come down on the price.
Yes,
And so then I never felt
yes,
like doing a good
yeah.
job for this person. And I just did not like the way I felt. So I just was like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'd rather drive away than come down on my price.
You walk in bitter. Yeah, and it makes you become bitter about that particular customer or that particular client you may have. I just yeah, just stay true to who you are. And I'm glad I learned those lessons early instead of late.
Yeah, no, I love that.
And I'll never forget, I cleared a whole uh, uh, I guess on their vanity, it just all fell off. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know where it went. I caught, and so I had to stop. And you lay that wand upside down, find the lady. She came up there and put everything. She goes, oh, it's okay. It's because we went and go tell her. Could you imagine if you left it on the floor and you went on your merry way? Yeah, you're just
Yeah,
there goes
yeah,
your accountability. You just it looks like you didn't take accountability. People like that. They like take they like people who take accountability. I think it goes a
yeah,
long way. It really does. It shows who you are. Even if and that's why I always tell employees, I say, look, you're not gonna get in trouble with me if you break something or do something, as long as you didn't do it on purpose. And as long as we're being honest with the customer, I believe everything
yeah,
will be fine.
yeah. Because stuff happens.
If you do it on purpose, if you do it on purpose now,
Yeah, those things happen, and like you said, 9 times out of 10, most customers are like, ah, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. And so even when you're offering to pay
True.
for it, to replace it or whatever, they're like, ah, I hated that painting anyway, or whatever. Like,
That's right. That's what usually happens. Yeah, I didn't like that
yeah.
anyway. Thank you for breaking that. Or
Yeah, yeah. So most people are pretty, if you got the rapport built with them, they're fine. Well, hey, I know that I've kept you here good and long, and you've given our listeners just some incredible insight to go on and ideas. Um, if somebody needs to get a hold of you, how would they get a hold of you?
splashthemoutlaundry@gmail.com, or they can just check out my YouTube, Splash 'em Out Laundry on YouTube. I'm on Facebook, Joe Dan Reed. You can instant message me. I'm on Insta and TikTok. I'm Joe Dan the Laundry Man
Oh,
on
nice,
TikTok.
nice. Yeah, I watched some of your videos on YouTube, and I'll tell you what, they're outstanding, and they make me want to get involved in. They make me want to go out and buy a laundromat.
Well, why haven't you?
Because I know it's not that easy. So
Oh, come on. Well, I'll tell you what. You have been. It's funny. You've done what I do. You've been in the carpet cleaning business. You're in the. It's a service industry, so it's easy for you. It's going to be more difficult for people who have not been in the service industry, and
yeah,
that's a fact. That's a fact. I mean, a lot of people. You also know how to let go. If you can let go and not be so perfect all the time, yeah, you'll be very successful in this
yeah,
business. Now, I'll tell you one thing. Like, you know what somebody can do. I think pickup and delivery is a wave of the future in laundry. Somebody can start out getting 2 washers, 2 dryers, and curbside software from California. The curbside software, and they could start pickup and delivery, and they could start a business like that. You see, but you see, I'm a hustler. A lot of people aren't
yeah.
hustlers like
No,
that.
every boring business I think has been born out of someone being a hustler, someone saying, you know what, I can do that. So that's why we're not in the
Yes.
tech industry, because we're not that smart. But we're willing to work hard.
And 10 years ago, everybody was cutting their own grass, and today
Right.
nobody
Yeah.
cuts their own grass. And I'm trying to make the same hold true to a
Yeah.
laundry. Well, I'm honored to be on
Yeah.
here. Thank
Yeah.
you
You're
for having
welcome.
me. Do it
Yeah.
again
Well,
sometime.
let's
Yeah.
keep in touch.
Yes,
All right, Joe.
absolutely. Yeah, I feel like I've known you for 40 years.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot in common. So, all right. Well, thank you
Yes.
so much, Joe.
Thank you. All right. You have a good day.
Listening to Joe Dan's story, there's a thread that runs through everything he's built, from cleaning houses to cleaning carpet to laundromats, pickup and delivery, his YouTube channel with hundreds of subscribers. None of it started with some perfectly written business plan. It seems like everything started with just these opportunities, and then the courage to act on them, and then building systems so that his business can grow beyond him. And that's really the difference between owning a job and building a company. And most owners get stuck because their business depends entirely on them, because they don't know how to get past that. When you build the right systems, train the right people, and create processes that anybody can learn, your business begins to run without you being there. And that's when it becomes a real business. And that's when it becomes scalable and eventually sellable. And it becomes something that can create this real freedom for you and real wealth for you and your family. If you're listening to this and realizing that your business still depends on you showing up every day to get that work done, that's probably not what you had in mind when you started building your business, but that's exactly the kind of problem that I help business owners solve. Helping entrepreneurs design businesses that can grow, scale, run without them, and eventually sell, that's what I love to do. So if that's something you want to start building in your own business, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Hey, thanks again for listening to Locally Owned. I hope you found insight, ideas, and inspiration that you can implement immediately.